Dr. Big Dog.
Oh.
I want to mug a doctor.
Reserve the right to answer.
Have you tried I'm mad at you sex?
Using tests.
Nay. Literally, my wife had to hide every time she saw me. If I see her in the corridor, it's showtime.
My name is Suhail Essa.
Dr. Untitled
Dr. Brendan Matthews.
Dr. Naseem Sharif.
And this is the Gentleman's Clinic Podcast.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Gents Clinic Podcast. 6 South African male medical doctors on a mission to change the way in which we perceive men's healthcare. My name is Suhail Essa, and joined with me here in the studio is
Dr. Brendan Matthews.
Dr. Naseem Sharif.
Dr. Nhlanhla Vilakazi.
Dr. Vishen Naidu.
Dr. Big Dog.
I had a whole intro prepared.
No, don't let me stop you.
No. Continue. This is our guest for today, who's introduced himself, Dr. Fresh himself, in the building. Let's give him a big, warm welcome, round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Fresh is here, joined to talk about all things men's health with us this evening. We, as always, Fresh, we generally start off with some interesting cases that we've seen since our last episode. So, guys, do we have any interesting cases? Vish, I think you were mentioning one very interesting case that got my attention.
So, so as you guys know, I wasn't actually here for the last podcast. I was actually on call.
Yep, he was busy chopping up.
That's correct. So I think pretty interesting case. There's not actually that many articles and case reports on it, but essentially it was a patient I saw.
Yeah.
I was actually on call, and it was essentially a complete transection of a gentleman's penis.
Wait. For those at home that are listening who want to know, what is a complete transection of a penis?
So essentially the entire penile shaft was transected at the base.
So would that include testicles?
No. So,
so
testicles were there,
Okay.
but part of the scrotum, so the actual skin, was cut off.
Wow.
There's
Clean cut.
Clean cut.
There's
Sure.
two ways this could have happened. Mob assault
Okay.
or a woman.
You don't think traditional or
Either-
like
Witch
witch doctor, yeah.
Circumcision.
Or it could have been a harvesting for multi-purposes.
See, so we actually also thought that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, normally.
Okay, but where was he found?
No. So he was an isolated head injury as well as this penile transection. So he was actually very low GCS. So GCS, for everyone that doesn't know, is basically he was
Unconscious.
Yeah. So it's the Glasgow Coma scale that we use to assess the level of consciousness. So
Yes,
a very low
unconscious, really.
level of consciousness.
So he was actually intubated by paramedics on scene. We're not sure what the time frame was from the transection or from the assault event, essentially, until they brought him to the hospital.
So if your penis is clean cut off, how long before it's too late to reattach it?
So essentially we use ischemia time. So roughly the general consensus is about 6 hours. You need to get the patient to theatre. There have been some studies where it's been a bit longer, but obviously
the time, not the penis.
Yeah, the time frame of no blood flow. But the thing is, there are certain things that can be done to obviously allow you a bit more time. So luckily, the guys in the emergency department, Suhail, they actually managed to. The ED guys, the paramedics brought the penis in a packet.
That's crazy.
Along with the patient, and they actually managed to, obviously package it correctly. So the penis was basically in a packaging. Not surrounded by water.
So the package was
or
packaged.
anything.
Yeah, the package.
Essentially, and was placed on ice.
Oh, they put it on ice.
they did put
Okay,
it on ice.
because I was going to ask that question. How do you preserve
In
ice?
that state, does cold or ice make it shrink further? I'm asking for a friend.
Which friend is this?
So they had it on ice. How quickly did you get him to theatre?
So from the time he got to the hospital, which was, roughly around the morning, I'd say probably between 5 to 6 hours from when he was in hospital till we got him to theatre. But obviously the time that he was unconscious, we're not really sure about that time frame. So
his penis is back on, not all is lost, full function.
So this was obviously a few weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. So we actually managed to reattach everything, the vessels, urethra, corpora cavernosum, spongiosum, and the skin. Everything was good for about a week and a half.
And then?
Subsequently to that, the penis started becoming necrotic.
So started dying.
Jeez.
All that hard work, all that packaging.
It was long, actually.
What happened? Did one of the vessels get...
That's either obviously the actual... So we actually call... So any reattachment of a human body or part or anything, we call it the organ. So essentially the organ was... we're not sure what the ischemia time was. So it could have just been that the tissue was already dead.
Okay. And then you just reattached dead tissue.
But you gave him a chance, man.
Yeah, we did give him a chance. The other thing could have been that the vessels that we anastomosed could have thrombosed. Or there could have been a clot or anything like that.
You never know, it's micro.
That was, we think more likely was that.
But everyone's prioritizing the penis. Everyone's forgetting about the low GCS. Probably has intracranial bleed.
In fact, I was about to ask, is he still unconscious? Is he at least up? Is he up?
Is he? Forget the brain. We're looking at the
Typical. We're just worried, we need to fix this penis. Forget the man's brain. He doesn't need that. He can live without that.
So the other thing was also, you evaluate the head and see whether, it is...
The head of what? His penis or head? We must be clear here.
The top head.
Okay.
So basically, if someone comes in a really bad state, is it really worthwhile going to theatre, spending 10 hours, because we were there in theatre for 10 hours, reattaching the penis when the patient might not survive in terms of the head injury.
2 questions. Does size of penis determine how easy it is to reattach it? It's
fair question.
No, it's a very fair question.
Yeah.
So
Because surely the surface area, the girth and everything else would make it easier or more difficult to reattach. And then secondly, surely he still has a chance though if he was to get a donor, like the dude in Cape Town or the Stellenbosch.
Yeah, that is actually true. So
it's not all lost then.
it's not all lost. He is actually awake now. So he's
awake now.
He's awake now.
Yeah, I'd rather be asleep. Huh?
Wake me up when Stellenbosch are ready for me.
He's staying with one eye.
He's like, put me back to sleep.
Put me back.
And you don't think maybe it's the size of your arms that might have botched the thing? Like, oops.
Oh, no.
Did a curl.
Wait, but you haven't answered the question about the surface area. Would it actually matter, or is it just one stitch fits all?
So I haven't actually thought about that, but logically speaking, if you think about it, if you, do your anastomosis properly with the blood vessels, technically, if there's more tissue to supply, there's a higher risk that it, possibly you could have more tissue loss.
It's already like micro surgery. So now if you have micro penis, now it's micro surgery for micro.
Microscope.
You need a microscope.
You did it with a microscope because you had to attach the blood vessels and all that stuff.
Jeez.
No.
Wow.
No, you guys didn't
So
use a
at
microscope.
Joburg Gen there was actually...
So you just use it blind.
No.
That's why the guy's penis is now.
Wait, hold on.
No.
Loops.
Loops.
What are
Oh,
loops?
yes. It's direct ophthalmoscope. So it's magnifying glasses.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen them. They look like...
Ophthalmologist
yes.
can explain
It's
it.
a microscope in a form of glasses.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
you
so
can
it's
adjust
like
magnification.
binoculars for your face.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like on glasses.
Yes. Okay.
No.
I see. Okay.
Sure. That makes more sense when I was worried. now,
Yeah,
I'm
because there's
listening.
no way you can
just went
anastomose
with your
blood
eyes.
vessels.
No, man. They use like a size, like a very small size, like a 8/0
Oh,
proline.
Okay, so next question, follow up on his one about the donor. Now, does he get put on like a donor list? What if he gets a white penis? Now he's black. Like what? How does that work?
No, so there isn't actually a list. So that Stellenbosch one was actually the first one that was done.
Ever?
Yeah.
Wow. Was that one successful?
Yeah, it was successful.
Last question. Because surely when the good Lord creates you, he creates everything in proportions he knows you can handle. If you got a donor that was bigger than what you were before, does that affect the blood flow? And would you faint if it was bigger than what? Like,
That is a legit question.
no, for real though, because your body is used to. I only need to send X amount of blood down there.
Exactly.
Now all of a sudden it's like, fuck, there's still blood going.
We should see getting some study content.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is all homework for you,
Some
bro.
good questions I can take back to the department. Hey, by the way, DJ Fresh asked these questions. What do you guys think?
I'm hoping to be in a journal one day.
Yeah.
That we finally answer his
Published
questions.
journal.
These questions
Yes.
Dr. Big Dog.
from the big dog.
All right. So let's go to the next interesting case that we had. Brendan, you want to tell us about the case that you had?
Yeah, man. So I work in primary healthcare.
That's a clinics.
Yeah, clinics. And so I was approached by one of the sisters who came with a gentleman, or I don't know if I'm referring to him correctly, but a man, objectively looked like a man.
Yeah.
And said that he wants to become a woman. So he said he went to this nurse who he knows because he's shy or scared as to how he'll be accepted if he just follows the normal path in the clinic. So the nurse approached me because I think that I've spent a few years there now. I'm like sort of senior doctor there. And the nurse came to me and explained to me. So I was going on leave the next day, and obviously now when I'm approached with this, it's the first time I've actually come across it, I think with everything that's going on in the world and people transitioning, I've actually learned new terms, since my interaction with this guy. New words to use, how to describe what he wants, what he needs, because in the past, obviously, you use these words colloquially and you say, perhaps politically incorrect terms to describe.
Tell us these terms, Brenda. What are these politically incorrect terms?
Which ones?
The politically incorrect ones.
Okay,
like using
so that we know the correct
like
ones
for
to
example, someone who's a tranny. We just talk about tranny, and that's actually not how we're supposed to address. That's politically incorrect.
yeah.
I don't even think politically incorrect, man. It's more like derogatory to say someone has become a tranny when you know. So he's actually wants. So what I learned, the word is gender affirming therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he came to seek gender affirming
He
therapy.
came to seek gender affirming therapy. So I know there is a guideline. There is a primary healthcare guideline.
I was about to ask, what are you guys meant to do when someone says, listen, this is what I'd like to do?
Exactly. So there's a guideline that's been released by the Southern African HIV Society. I'm not sure if it's adopted yet by the government, but it's there for us to use in primary healthcare to actually help people transition, But of course, it's not an easy topic to bring up. And I think it reminded me of when we learn about abortions at medical school. And how, if you don't agree religiously or culturally with an abortion, you can refer that lady to someone else. But you need to make sure that they get the help they are seeking.
You don't just wash your hands.
You don't just wash your hands off them. So I sort of sat with that conflict, Did you
go on leave?
Yeah. I think the reason why I mentioned that is because it gave me some time, to say, listen, I'm going on leave tomorrow. Let me see you when I come back. Give me some time to read, some time to work through this with myself, understand it better, so that I don't go back and use derogatory terms, for example, and go and treat him like a human being, him or her. You see, I need to go back and ask him what he wants to be addressed as. I don't know. There's all things that I learned so far. Yeah.
But don't you also find, though, that because we have to use the right terminology, often we're so caught up in the politics, in the PC-ness, that we forget that we still need to help someone.
Yes.
Exactly,
Or
yeah.
you're hesitating and you're not getting to, the nub of the issue because you're like, what words do I use? Am I
exactly,
going to
yeah.
offend you?
That's true.
And it's almost become a situation where people don't want to get involved who genuinely are interested in helping.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I want to be accused of shit. I want to be cancelled because I used the word I had no idea was derogatory. I had no idea I was offending you.
And it's cancel culture. And
Yes.
that's basically.
But
what it is.
more so than that, and this is going to be very controversial, but it's fine. I think for us as medical professionals, there is still a big debate amongst us about gender dysphoria, which is something that's a term that was coined by psychiatrists many, many years ago. And it looks at people who believe that they are in the wrong body, and it causes them social and occupational dysfunction. And our role should be that we screen them and make sure that they don't have that and they don't need psychiatric assistance versus am I going to go straight to putting them on hormone blockers and sending them for surgery? And it becomes it's a difficult one for us because we get looked at like we're crazy
And the minute
for
you
even
do that,
considering that could be a possibility.
and the minute you do that, you've offended someone.
Yes.
And all you're saying is, this is in your best interest that we correctly diagnose you, in inverted commas. That you know what you're doing, you know what you're saying.
100%.
The fact that we have kids, especially in the US now, where there's a whole movement where children are being allowed to say, identify as whatever identifier is, and you haven't even checked. It's almost like
Anything.
it doesn't make sense.
It really does. And the politics definitely affects us as medical professionals because now we have to go with what society is telling us to do, not
Exactly.
what medical science is guiding us towards, and evidence-based medicine is going, hey, let's do a study. Let's make sure that we're doing the right thing. No, you guys don't care.
You've
Medical
offended me.
professionals are, and it's a huge problem. You mentioned the US. My aunt is a child psychiatrist in the UK, and I recently had a chat with her, and she said in the last 5 years, the number of patients that have come to her with wanting to transition. And these are young, she's a child psychiatrist, so she sees anything less than 16. And she said over the last 5 years, the numbers of initially it was just ADHD, and then suddenly it's now just gender dysphoria or people wanting to transition. And it's very difficult for her because she can almost lose her job. Lose her actual job for saying, no, I don't think that this person qualifies for that. I think they actually have gender dysphoria. And one of the things that she definitely has said, based on the research that she's been actively doing, is that social media has had a big role to play in pushing people to say, because teenagehood is a very difficult time for everyone. Nobody knows who they are when they're teenagers.
Yes,
they're
that's
figuring themselves out. Now you've got social media that says, oh, you feel this way? That means you are this way.
Exactly.
Have you heard of puberty blockers?
Yeah.
So it's like a compromise that they said, okay, look, this child is young but wants to transition. So let's, instead of transitioning them right now at the young age, let's put puberty blockers, which are GnRH inhibitors, prevent puberty, and then when they get old enough, they decide from themselves what they want to do.
But
It's
aren't those irreversible?
I mean, you can still have puberty later on once you take off the GnRH, but it's like a compromise.
But I mean, we were talking last podcast about, for example, if you take finasteride at puberty, your dick might not grow to what it should be.
No, so basically it's halting the
That's
puberty
where
cycle.
Vishen comes in. He'll find you a penis.
Touch your penis.
I think, it's guys, it's a difficult one. And again, it's social media, it's politics playing, colliding with medicine, you know. And the guideline does say you need to assess, is there a mental health disorder before you go
Definitely,
about it. But you mentioned that, listen, I'm going to sit down and first assess you according to the DSM-5 criteria for mental health disorder.
Or refer to
You
a
cancelled,
psychiatrist.
man. You cancelled.
Even just referring to a psychiatrist, they've been, especially in the US, UK, where the politics have been affected by society and social media and whatever else, where now a doctor even questioning or saying, oh, I think you should see a psychiatrist, You
There's a huge
cancelled.
problem. There's a
You
huge problem,
cancelled.
I don't know the gist of the story, but apparently Canada is worse.
Oh
Apparently
yeah, Canada. Yeah.
There was a transgender dude who went into a parlor to get his pubic hairs waxed. And the lady said, "No, you've got a penis. I don't do penises. I don't wax."
Yeah.
And now she's under fire, lost a job or something. I stand
refusing.
corrected, but for refusing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
wax the guy, you know.
I personally, I just think
mean,
we as a world, not even as a country, we at the initial stages of understanding some of these complicated concepts. You know, I mean, a lot of people were all raised to think, you know, things are just black and white. You're either male or female, and we all sort of now trying to understand that, you know, it's actually not that. You know, it's actually a spectrum. You know, and just to bring it back to doctors, I personally feel like we weren't trained well enough
At
you know,
all.
to address some of these
But also
issues.
it wasn't
I don't
as-
personally know how to. Never mind the terminology. Let's say someone is sitting next to me, and I genuinely feel like, you know, this child. Yes, it's written Mr. here, but there's just something that doesn't make sense, and I can see it's actually affecting whatever the problem is. I personally would not know
But do you see
how to approach it.
just,
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna like reinforce what you're saying that we probably haven't been trained well, because you mentioned something that it's male or female, but we might be on a spectrum, and then I can rebut that, you know, and then again it becomes now a discussion to say, how can you say that male and female is on a spectrum? And again, we're getting into now what the politics are telling us.
Exactly.
And, you know,
Exactly. No, but
so it's I don't know. It's just the wild,
it's
wild
a tough
west.
one. It's
Yeah, I
really
don't
a
think we're
tough-
going to
there's no
solve the
wrong, no
problem
right.
on this podcast. Yeah.
But also, I mean, even if we decide maybe it is a spectrum, surely just for purposes of practicality, we could keep it as simple as it's always been. And how you identify is how you identify. You know what I mean? It's for me, I almost feel like it's almost like religion. And religion is like a penis. We're happy you have it, but don't flash it in my face.
Okay. Yeah. I get you.
That's a good analogy.
You know what I mean? That you don't have to force me
Yes.
into where you are.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's mentally or otherwise. But for
Yes.
purposes of just stats, for instance, we need 5 men here, 5 women there. Can we do that? Because, I mean, right now we have trans women wanting to perform in women's athletics.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's
I'd love to chat about
and
that.
we have women athletes not boycotting and saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And for me, that's
no,
if
it's
my
bullshit.
daughter, who's an athlete, is having to compete with a trans woman, I'm gonna protest
Yeah.
because we know you have an advantage.
But you see, here's the crazy thing, right? We as medical professionals, we can all attest to our, based on our knowledge, that they do. But you will find people who genuinely believe that if I say I'm a woman, then it does not matter.
Yeah, let me
That,
wrestle other women.
I can
You know what I
wrestle.
mean?
Let
I
me power
mean,
lift
there's
against other women.
Exactly.
UFC. Sorry, not the UFC, but in America, in one of the lower amateur MMA leagues, they had a man, biological man, who in his 30s decided he wants to transition. He was in the amateur leagues, wasn't really doing that well. And you see this as a very common denominator amongst a lot of these athletes. They're not doing great. Transitions to woman, take some hormone blockers so that his test levels are just under what is expected for man, but optimal for a woman,
Yeah.
a female athlete,
And compete.
and then go to compete. He went into a match. He not just knocked out this. Well, sorry, she didn't knock out the biological woman. Fractured her skull, and I'm like, at what point are you going to just go, this is domestic violence now? this is like this is acceptable domestic violence now that you're advocating for. At what point are we going to say, actually, hold on, medical science has proven certain things that you cannot fight against. And one of them is having biological men who have gone through biological male puberty competing against biological females with lower testosterone and lower bone density, a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
And if you really wanna compete at that level, then compete with people within your own class. Then rather, you know what I mean. If we're
It's fair.
Yeah, then it's fair.
Yeah.
Then it's a competition. It's like us calling hunting a sport, but the animal doesn't have a gun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who's hunting who?
You know what I mean? It's only a sport when the animal also has a rifle.
I want us to come back to this topic as a podcast, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is a very. We're not gonna solve the
but I just
issue
want
today.
everyone to know that I'm gonna help this guy.
Please.
Yeah, no, I'm going to help
should,
him
you
as
should, you should.
appropriate.
When you go
and
back from your
when
leave.
I'm back on leave.
Watch him extend leave until March.
Buy yourself enough time. All right, let's move on to the next segment of our podcast, which is the interesting studies that we found for this week. So, Nassim, you want to tell us about the interesting study you found?
So, we see a lot of patients with asthma and they have erectile dysfunction.
Uh-huh.
So, asthma and erectile dysfunction are like it's a high correlation. So, a lot of inflammation, the IgE and cause all these different issues with
for the layman who doesn't understand, basically inflammation.
inflammation, right?
Yeah, leave it there. Yeah.
That's it. So, like what we usually give for people with erectile dysfunction is phosphodiesterase inhibitors, right? Viagra. These cause vasodilation and smooth muscle relaxation and increased blood supply to the penis, right? Increased blood supply, you get a stronger erection. Found out that, these things also help with the lungs and asthma. So it also causes bronchodilation, right? So the muscles around in the bronchioles also open up. So asthma gets improved, COPD also improves, and your erection improves. So now they're starting to make phosphodiesterase inhibitors inhalers.
Ah. So people are just going to...
And getting an erection. And getting an erection.
So you can get a pump from your pump.
That's a smart one, man. And people don't realize, like, these medications, Cialis, Viagra, all that, they're used for other conditions. Yeah. You see, I don't know all the other names and the garage names. There was a Bang Bang Strong Man that sold at the garage. Wow. I was like, these names?
Bang Bang
There's
Strong
two.
Man.
Bang Bang
There's
Strong
too
Man.
many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you get it in pump form.
How was Viagra discovered? What were they treating again?
It was pulmonary hypertension.
Yeah.
Aha,
Yeah,
yes.
pulmonary.
So lung
Because of the
problems.
vasodilation,
But-
obviously.
But you also hear about how you take some of these pills, but they affect your
nose,
sinuses.
As well, yeah.
So why does that happen?
Yes.
So
Very
same
good
thing,
question.
like nasal. So the most common side effect of Viagra is nasal congestion.
Yes.
Because of the increased blood supply. So you have like blood vessels in your nose as well, right? So then when they get dilated, they get leaky as well. So you start to leak into them.
You can get eye problems with the same mechanism, right?
So does it help if you pop Viagra and an Allergex then? Or
You need to compound
or
that.
That's a good question. I think. I surely it would help.
I think
it's the increased mucus secretions from that increased blood supply.
No, but
Instead
is it not
of
also
Allergex tablets, rather use like a nasal spray.
Yes,
So-
yes,
but
yes.
is it
Also
not
specific
dose
to the
dependent?
nose,
Is
yeah.
it also not dose dependent? Does everyone who takes Viagra?
Not
Depends, I
everyone.
guess.
Not everyone.
That's probably why no one really.
But if you've got, like, I had a patient who had a issue with nasal congestion, and then I was like, listen, it's going to make it way worse. So,
But I think the spray is very adequate.
Yeah.
Like just the Iliadin, Otrivin, Sinumax spray. Because then it acts right on the sinuses.
yeah.
And then you can breathe because, almost you need extra, you need your lung capacity when you're on that
so can I just
medication.
quickly, so were you asking for a friend about this nasal congestion when using?
That's what I was saying. It's dose dependent.
Yeah, I mean,
some
like,
people might
you
do
know-
a double dose.
Normally the people we consult, we don't ask us those specific questions.
I read a lot.
Of course.
You know, my concern is with men, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of men are obsessed with how hard I can go, how hard I can get, how much I can show her.
Yeah.
Because we have this thing that I must show
I
her.
need to show, yeah.
But it's weird how guys will, for instance, say, I don't want a vaccination or whatever, I don't want to be vaccinated against whatever. But the minute they see Sohail popping a pill that he says it helps with erectile dysfunction, we don't even ask questions. We take it, whatever it is he's taking. And, there's so many over-the-counter products now that you can get at almost every filling station. Have these been tested? Why are they being allowed on shelves? Why are they being allowed to be sold?
I don't think they do enough.
They haven't been
testing,
tested. They're not regulated. I
At
think
all.
There's no regulation.
So why are they
around it.
allowed?
So It's true.
I
And, you know,
just think with most of them, it's supplements, it's herbs.
Yeah.
So it's.
But do we know that it's herbs?
That's the thing. That's
you
actually
know
the
why I
question.
think that they
question.
should
We
be
should be
regulated
asking.
because, I mean, when someone's having a heart attack and you're going to give them nitroglycerin, which acts similar to Viagra but at a much more potent level. They teach that if you need to ask everyone, are you taking Viagra? But you also need to ask, are you using anything from the garage or herbal? Because they
Yeah.
have the exact same strong effect.
Yeah.
Or
Some of
even
them.
have some supplemented Viagra or sildenafil in them, you know?
Sneakily,
So-
they just add it in there.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I think we need to look at this a bit deeper, man, because it has effects, man. It has, and what's coming to what you're saying, Fresh, in how the penis controls our lives, and that we don't even
Controls the
understand.
man's life.
We don't even understand how it's supposed to work, right? There was a guy I was consulting who said, "Listen, I have erectile dysfunction. I have a problem with when I finish round 1, I have to wait 30 minutes before I go for round 2." So I said, wait a minute, how was your time before? He's like, no, I just used to wash and go back. And he's like, 30, man. He said like less than 5 minutes. So I'm like, I had to teach him about refractory period. Do you know, 30 minutes is actually short, man.
And the fact that she's lucky she's getting around too.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Most women don't.
You know?
Haven't seen one in years.
So that the expectation that,
Yeah.
that I really need to, this woman's
Yeah.
lying there, I need to get back to her within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But surely there's also something to be said about the psychology of men, though,
Uh-huh.
and our obsession with delivery and
Yes.
size and like why is there no mass counseling for men?
Exactly.
Or to have us understand that we're so obsessed with half the shit we're obsessed with in terms of our delivery, women don't even think about or talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I often advise, especially younger dudes, that if you get your foreplay right, actually doesn't matter how long you go for.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's a very important point. That's a very important
Are you a fellow 1 minute man? And that's what we don't understand as guys, though. That if you can get into her head before you even get into her pants,
Yeah.
And
Trust me.
you'll find that's what they want.
trust me, she will blow her load the minute you're in there. The minute you're in
So
there.
we tried to explain that point in a previous podcast. It's
Yeah.
not about, like, the thing is, it's become an act of performance.
Yes.
That's a performance thing.
We think we're at the Olympics.
Yeah, like it's a show or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes, we think, was from pornography. So we see a lot of things. You see the force, you see the moaning actions and
unnatural
styles and all these positions, and that's not normal. We think that that's normal.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what's normal, what women actually like, is not that stuff.
Monster dick as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a limit to how much.
Yes.
I think there's a study that how far the vagina extends, like 11 centimeters, something like that. Anything more than that was
It's a waste.
useless. Yeah.
Waste,
And he
waste of
actually-
real estate.
Yeah, he actually raised this point on our last podcast talking about foreplay, and this is the most well-endowed man at the table. So
How do you know, sir?
self-confessed.
self-confessed. Why? He
Randomized
actually told me.
control
He actually told me that there are parts of his penis that have never touched the inside of a woman's vagina. Do you know that when he sits down to take a shit, when he sits down to take a shit, he has to hold his penis because otherwise he'll sit in the water. That is what he said himself.
But surely,
But the thing is, at some point, the size is a hindrance. No one likes that.
but surely though, it must predate porn though, because even before porn, there's always been herbs and plants that men take
Yeah.
to enhance your performance. You know,
I think that the reason why we are obsessed with size and power and length and
performance,
girth and performance is because we have testosterone.
Exactly.
It makes
It's
us
also men, it's
competitive.
ego.
We want to
male
be as
ego.
good as we possibly can be. So that's why we do all of these crazy
Can I
things.
mention something that women are actually wanting us to go towards what Fresh is saying? Is that it's the foreplay. It's getting into our mind. Women don't get orgasms. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that women complain? There are women who've never had orgasms. They don't know how it is, what it is. And when they get their first one, they don't understand what's happening to their body. They're going through things that they never imagined that they could, you know? And whose fault is that? It's us. I mean, why are men trying to get in there so quickly? You know,
You know, it's funny how we're making all these assumptions about women don't want the size, women don't want the. I feel like, you know, the women that are going to be watching this are going to think, what the f are these Gents saying?
No,
We want 5 rounds. We want the
We want
length.
Nassim.
We want 2 seconds of foreplay and just.
No, but generally,
Yeah, no.
generally, I think we are too in a hurry to get to it.
Exactly, yeah,
Physiologically-
Yeah.
Like we're too in a hurry to get to
Let's
it.
say physiologically as well.
aspect
is Yeah.
not fulfilled.
One thing that I did hear about in Huberman Lad podcast, he was talking about because of porn, and I don't know, maybe it was before then, but because of porn, because of the idea, like when you watch porn, you're watching other people have sex, and then your primary goal is to just pleasure yourself and get it over with. So you rush when you're actually having sex with a woman because now you think that all this is about is for you to reach your orgasm and
It's about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a saying, what's better than a woman that squirts? A woman who didn't know she squirts.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. And if you get your game right, you can actually make anyone squirt. Trust me.
And on that note, we're moving on.
Some wisdom.
Watch doctors calling me up.
For more advice on Dr. Fresh.
I have a lot to say, man. But I'm
Yeah.
Just on that topic, though.
No, say it, bro.
Yeah.
You're married, you're not
There
dead.
is actually an anatomical and physiological
be dead.
explanation for
Yes.
squirting.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And-
Dr. Naidu. Tell us.
And when is it squirting and when is it incontinence?
Yeah.
you see what people also have a preconception that what
Yes.
they see on TV is what's supposed to happen in the
Yeah,
bedroom
sure.
again, you know. So yeah, when is it incontinence and when?
There's a lot of.
Vishen Naidu, tell us.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
That's me again.
Tell us the anatomical.
No, so again, you know, when obviously performing intercourse, the nerves that are stimulated is the pudendal nerve.
Aha.
Okay, so essentially that innervates that perineal area. Some people may have, you know, when they climax, they may have slight loss of sphincter tone of the bladder, you know, and that's obviously the squirt, supposed squirt that comes out.
Okay. Is that like across the board? So that's everyone? Or there's some that actually are like...
No, there are some way. I think it's probably just almost every time, you know, you do intercourse, it may happen. Whereas
Oh. Wait, is that the only way? Is there some like actual secretions that could be happening?
That as a big man.
Engage
So
us.
essentially, what you're saying, it is urine. There's no.
it is urine.
not-
It's urine.
Gents.
There's no special secretion coming from.
No, but I've seen vaginal, like,
Gents, come.
and it wasn't from the bladder.
No. So okay.
It's in my book.
Dr. Big Daddy.
Wait.
Dr.
Could
Big
they
Daddy.
not be like... Because you know you have the
so the
Bartholin's
urethra
glands
is in. So what you look at
Yes,
obviously is called the vulva.
sure.
So inside that, on the top part, obviously it's the clitoris, and then
Yes,
below
the
that
beam.
is
Yeah.
the urethra,
Yes.
and then just below that is the actual vagina.
Fish, there's liquid that comes out actual vagina.
Yeah.
That's discharge.
That's as much as what I
No.
can say.
That is.
That's as much as what I
sexually.
can I'm morally allowed to say.
You're gonna
There is-
you're gonna do the forward for my book.
There's liquid that comes out.
Anonymous.
As much as I can say.
You sure it
Dr.
wasn't?
Brendan
You sure it
Matthews.
wasn't a man ejaculating semen?
Were you in Thailand?
Because then, yes, that was liquid.
That was liquid.
I think the big question that I've always had, right? So from the vagina, there's obviously secretions that we all know, the white secretions.
Yeah.
Some women regard that as cum. So that's them orgasm.
Uh-huh.
Because the thing is, like you were saying, with porn and all these things that you see and you watch, we've kind of classified orgasming as the squirting of, you know,
Yeah.
shooting of fluid. And I've heard a couple of people who say, no, just that white secretions that you see, that's me.
one?
That's
Talking
me.
about, are you talking about that one that dries and becomes like
Exactly.
feta cheese?
Yes,
and,
yes.
He was...
Okay, yeah.
In fact, on that note, why are there no female doctors?
Yeah, that's
No,
something we need.
it's-
We need
we
to
need
actually
to-
have
We
a
can actually
full-on
get a
episode.
female-
Because
Yeah,
now
with
we
a
just
couple of female
we're
doctors.
just postulating, yeah.
Look,
about,
we are the gentleman's clinic. We
Oh, yes, we are
do-
gentleman's clinic.
So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
discuss men's problems.
But I
Okay.
think we
Good
just
save. Good save.
we're just shooting blindly here in the wind as well. Like
Yeah.
medically,
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to get a woman's personal
Yes.
experience.
Opinion,
with-
exactly.
I love
yeah.
the guy.
But to be honest,
Yeah.
some women also don't know that they have 2 holes down there.
Yeah.
So some women might, so they'll be like, they've never known that there's another hole called the urethra.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
So
Which is
you
connected to the
actually,
bladder,
which
yeah.
is connected to the, you might actually get a woman that says, no, it comes out of my vagina. Not knowing
one
this.
entity.
The one entity.
Fresh will tell you that you can. He has seen it coming out the vagina.
Well, you can have a fistula, by the way.
Yeah, you can actually have a
You can have a fistula.
Okay.
All right, moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
Unless Fresh has something very
I think it's
Profound.
I think it's poetic that you're telling us about how we're shooting in the blind and you're the one with shades, like Stevie Wonder.
Eyes don't lie.
Chico, what is that saying? Chico, the eyes don't lie.
Yeah, they don't. All right, let's move on to our next study presented by Dr. Vilagazi. Tell us, what is the interesting
Cool.
study that you found?
All right. So the reason why I chose the study, number one, it's a new study, very reliable study. It was actually a systemic study of a couple of meta-analysis. The title of the study is, Should We Be Prescribing Testosterone for Perimenopausal and Menopausal Women? A Guide to Prescribe Testosterone for Women in Primary Healthcare.
Women control us already. Do we really want to get them tested?
See, that's exactly what I thought. I thought to myself, wait a minute. Wait, so there's people actually thinking about this?
She's in charge already. I don't know if I want her with more tests.
Give her more.
So what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah,
So, as you guys may know, I mean, both men and women produce testosterone, right? Women actually, premenopausal, produce 3 times the amount of testosterone quantity compared to estrogen. The reason why they produce testosterone is actually for the same reasons why we also need it, right? Obviously, it's of
mental focus.
mental focus, libido, yes, weight, function, and some of the cardiovascular risks that come with not having testosterone. So that's probably the main reason why. The big problem that these studies, or all these studies that have been done in women, is that there's a huge sort of lack, or maybe pharmaceutical interest. There's not enough pharmaceutical interest in providing the sort of the dosing that women need, because they obviously need a bit lower.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you guys know, in SA, I mean, you can only find 100 milligram
Yeah.
minimum. Yeah, and women obviously would need way lower than that.
Legally, 100 milligram.
Legally, yeah.
Okay.
Women suffer
Illegal.
because of HRT.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, you see them having hot flushes, osteoporosis.
Exactly,
All
yeah.
of these symptoms of menopause, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
when they go to seek for help for starting HRT, they struggle to find someone who can help them.
But I personally have never met a woman who's
So
6'8".
there's no doctor out there willing to microdose test for women.
Well, according to the study, it's only just been for study purposes. There's no people who are actually doing all of this stuff.
But someone is watching this right now.
No, they
so-
are.
And just thinking, there's actually a market for this. Yeah.
they are actually.
So,
They are
so
doing it.
they are. So I think the most important thing here is obviously to notice that this study is for menopausal women or perimenopausal women. So it's not for your age group, gents.
For your
Don't now be looking at your wife and thinking, your libido is low. I should probably TRT you. Oh, yeah. So the big limitations of the study, like I said, it was a dosing issue, and another big problem with TRT in general, male and female, is that there's not enough studies on the topic. There's not enough done in the
100%.
topic. So there's not a lot that's understood about, especially adverse, side effects of taking testosterone.
Interesting, man.
So those were the big problems. But yeah, it was very interesting. So the women that they did try Troches and transdermal testosterone injections, or giving them testosterone, they actually they found that these women had better libido, they had better cognitive function, they were sleeping better, there was reduced, development of osteoporosis and all these bony complications. So they actually, the test actually helped them quite a lot.
That is dope.
I thought, you never really think test and women.
Never
It's
ever.
just,
You're going to find
I've
that
never thought about
the
that.
woman, the studies are going to come out, gynaes are going to take onto it and start giving women tests at a higher rate than what we're giving men test who need it. Because we're not giving men tests
Exactly,
when they
yeah.
need it. We're just dismissing men who actually have low testosterone and who can benefit from it. And you'll see how gynaes pick on this and start giving women, and women start.
All things being equal, though, as a guy, from what age, on average, would you advise, either whether it's microdosing your test or supplementing
For
your
man.
test? For man, yeah.
For men.
40.
From about 40.
So from about.
But how many people know this and are actually even doing it?
Well, that's why we're here. I think, ideally, you should.
I'm 10 years late.
You know what's crazy though?
Do you have your bag in your boot?
We've got something.
We've got something. We'll give it to you at the end of the podcast. But you know what's crazy is he said 40,
Yeah.
but we are seeing guys in their late 20s
Yes.
that is coming to us with all the symptoms.
Yes.
And don't worry, we'll screen you today.
But what causes that though? I know guys in their 30s getting strokes, heart
Yeah.
attacks.
Yeah.
So I actually
Epigenetics.
saw this because I saw a guy, a 31-year-old man with a test level of a 65-year-old man, naturally. So it's either that your testes are affected, so maybe a disease, a cancer, or your testes, but also genetics play a role. Obesity plays a role, and that affects how your brain stimulates your testes to make testosterone.
Okay.
So you can actually just be chowed by your genes, That's a big
Just being
thing.
born to the wrong family.
Obesity and insulin resistance. So if you're insulin resistant in your 30s, best believe you're going to start having
Low
symptoms.
test,
And
yeah.
we're getting type 2 diabetes at people in their 20s, 30s, strokes in their 30s.
It's a lot of lifestyle.
Yes,
things.
lifestyle, yeah.
I was going to say, we live in a world now where so many things are regulated. Even ingredients in food are regulated. I was born in the 70s. And I always say a lot of us born in the 70s look 10 years younger because of the preservatives that are all banned that we have in our systems.
Wait. Oh, you're
So
born
they
in the
preserved you
70s.
well.
Dude, I'm 51.
wait. There's
to
no
me,
way.
That's crazy.
There's
You
no
are
way.
51.
Serious.
I'm 51, yeah.
That's wild.
Like I'm saying.
Wait, you're using test.
Well, I have a friend who helps microdose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to get to that, but you've already opened
I
up
love
that
that,
can.
man. I love that.
And he advised me that, listen, after 40, you need to microdose.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you feel you need it.
Okay,
But-
so when you started on the journey, were you experiencing side effects, or did someone just say to you, "Hey, man, you should try this"?
It's a doctor friend who was just telling me that, listen, this is what I advise you do at certain milestones.
But
on
were
the
you
journey.
experiencing any of the features of
What?
low testosterone?
No, I was fucking like a rabbit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If that's what you're asking.
Wait, that's not the only. Okay, wait. Let's do a proper screening.
Let's
and
do it quickly.
Let's
yeah.
do a screen.
Yeah.
So there's something called the Adams score. I don't know all of it off by heart, but I'm going to ask you a couple of the questions. Did you ever have brain fog, where you can't think clearly, you're not as sharp as you used to be, anything like that?
Often, any brain fog I may have is linked to what little sleep I have.
Okay, so
Because
sleep was the only
because
factor.
it was late nights.
Oh yes.
Late nights, a lot of tequila.
Yeah.
That
alone will affect you.
Exactly. But what I found though is gym helped me a lot.
Uh-huh.
So now I'm doing 5Ks a day, and that 5Ks a day, enabled me to get onto O-Ship, get off the boat on Monday, get on the road to Bots.
Yeah, you were telling us before.
Have a gig with the president.
Crazy.
6 a.m. Tuesday, I come back here, and my staff are still man down.
And you
And my staff are half my age.
That is insane.
You know what I mean?
But you see the power
So,
of
wait, let's go through all the questions. So you said brain fog, right?
Yeah.
So, and that you attributed only to be low.
Well, I
sleep.
assumed it would be because I'm not resting enough. Because
Yeah.
I'd find where I've gotten 6 to 8 hours of sleep, the next day I'm fucking powering on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so sleep is the one thing that you attribute to the brain fog. But
Yeah.
tell me, did you ever have a period of time in your life where, not depression, but proper clinical depression, where you were feeling you low mood, but you don't know why?
No.
Lack of pleasure in the activities that you usually would take pleasure in?
No.
Never. No issues with sleep?
If I have issues with sleep, it's because I'm out there.
Okay,
because I
but
have
not
insomnia.
okay. So there's a reason for the.
Or if there's lack of sleep, it's because my mind is about tomorrow is going to be another day. I'm
Yes,
excited.
yeah.
You see, I think the advantage of me doing what I do, I've been a DJ since I was 13. I'm still a DJ now.
Crazy.
So I've been living my dream like my entire life.
Yeah.
That's like 40 years.
Just-
Exactly.
crazy.
So I've been living my dream my entire life. So I have never had moments to feel sorry for myself or to feel depressed or to feel like, fuck, poor me. So even self-pity has never, even where I've had reasons maybe to be depressed or sad, it doesn't happen because tomorrow is another gig. I fill my cup up again tomorrow. I've got 5 kids. My kids give me another reason to be alive. So I've never gone through feeling like I'm depressed.
And this, I suppose a big question that I'm sure a lot of men face is like, purpose in life.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, they get killed by they think it's, I've got low testosterone,
Yeah.
I've got this, I've got that. And perhaps it's just, I've got no purpose. I don't feel motivated to do what I'm doing.
I don't know
Or
why
you're
I'm
just
waking
clinically
up.
depressed.
Yeah.
Because there's also a huge distinction between the two. It doesn't mean because you're sad, because you have anhedonia, like you're saying, just not liking things that you used to like, you're not sleeping well. You could just be depressed, But I liked how you referenced the Adams score. That there's actually, well-studied clinical scores that we go through and we make sure that
Before we even check your
whoever-
test levels.
Yes. Yeah. And obviously to avoid people who still want to have kids,
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
because that's a big one.
Am I crazy that I still want one more kid?
Listen, 51.
No, you're only 51.
Only.
And you look like you were 5 years older than all of us. So
So, Fresh, I wanted to ask, at the last podcast, I
Yeah.
made an example of how testosterone keeps you going as a university student, where you have sleepless nights, play sports, have sex, party, all in one night. And
like
so
we were
well,
talking about our experiences.
and he asked the
students
question. So if I'm 55 and I go on test, will I be able to do the same thing? And you just described that you do that. Exactly. And I think you missed one point in the cycle you spoke about where the rest of your team was tired. You could still probably get an erection.
I did.
There we go. There we go. You understand? And I'm so excited, Fresh, to
I'm
hear
glad I
that.
excite you.
Not that part. But you a model because I was so shocked when you said you were born in the 70s. You don't look it at all. The way you talk and describe your life, you don't feel it at all. And I think you should be a role model in terms of what a man doesn't need because you're over the age of 50. You now need to be seen as a grandfather.
Sure.
And, you're taking kids to school,
Exactly,
you go home and you just said,
You
your
wait
wife.
to die.
Basically,
essentially, that's what people do.
become aloof at home,
Yeah.
there are men
shouldn't
your
what it
age
be.
who are like, it's time to retire now.
Yeah. You see,
Time to just
They've
sit
done everything.
on the porch.
And do you know what the wildest thing is? I'm enjoying my career over the last 3 years more than I've enjoyed it over the last 30 years.
Wow.
It's the wildest thing ever.
that's amazing.
Like tomorrow, like my December is just gig after gig, and I'm excited. I'm like, let's go. It's like you at the ER.
Yeah.
I need a gunshot wound.
Yeah, I'm not that excited. I don't feel as excited
So
as
man,
you are.
Aren't you? Who's in Hillbrow? You're in Hillbrow.
Yeah.
I'm sure New Year's Eve you have a boner, bro. I was like, what am I fixing today?
Wish.
Yeah, look, I don't
like
think
that.
we are as passionate about our jobs as you are about yours.
No, but the fact that you guys went through everything you had to go through to become doctors, that's passion enough, bro. That's dedication enough. That's commitment enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, man. 100%.
So Fresh, advice out there for men maybe who don't know about TRT or considering it or
Before we even delve deeper into the advice, I think we need to establish, when did you start your journey on TRT?
Jeez. Probably 5-6 years now.
5, 6 years.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And it's once in a while. It's not even I'm doing it all the time. He will tell me, "Don't forget to come in."
do you check your bloods? Do you assess? your levels?
We haven't checked levels. No.
Okay, you haven't checked, but you're not like regularly month by month.
No.
And also, you said you were not someone who suffered with side symptoms already. Of going into
But
so it was just kind of adding a layer onto what.
But one thing I'm advising a lot of my friends though is don't take it lightly if you can't get it up. Because it might be a cardiac event waiting to happen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Often
100%.
we think I can just go to a garage, get a tea, boil it, and I'll be fine. And you have your bone for however long you have your bone, but your heart is still begging for help.
Fresh, you sure you didn't study medicine?
So
I'm telling you, this guy, he's been just shooting out, you know.
So for me, it's key that we, and I think that's the problem with us guys though, that we think as long as I can walk, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys with stage 4 cancers could have nipped it in the bud at stage 2. But because you're like, flip, there's blood in my poo, but I'll be fine. You know, a year later, you got stage 4 rectal cancer or whatever it is. And I think we need to learn as guys to say, fuck, something's wrong.
Yes.
Let me get help.
Yeah.
A lot of us are dying unnecessarily from shit that can get fixed.
100%.
If we bother to say, I need help.
The guys come to us when their penis stops working. Their heart's dying.
Yeah.
They've got high cholesterol. They are on their deathbeds. But the moment they can't get it up, they're like, right, it's time to see the doctor now.
And talk to someone now.
Yeah. And sometimes half of the shit we're going through is just stress related.
100%.
You know, you've got all these psychosomatic fucking ailments and conditions and whatever else, but all it is it's up here.
100%.
But when you're not willing to say, I need help up here, now your whole body's going to shut down. Like,
I think
fuck?
what we are hoping also to achieve with this podcast. I mean, it only gets about 1,000 views each episode so far, but people
it'll grow, bro.
People who come,
this is necessary.
Yeah, people who come and consult, having watched the podcast, are excited to talk. They feel free. They feel comfortable. We even laugh on during the consultation.
I've had that.
I mean, you'll say
they feel like they know you.
exactly.
Yeah.
You'll even, like, one guy was saying to me, "Yeah, see, when my woman turns into dog style, that's when it's over." You know, and he's never going to tell his doctor that he sits over the table with.
Never.
Exactly.
That, you know, so.
In fact, that's what I was telling Sohail when I had him on my podcast, that what you guys are doing is underrated.
Yeah.
It's such...
Thank you.
Like, it's critical work.
Thank you, man.
And I'm hoping more men will watch this. And in fact, you must cut this into clips that are shareable.
Yeah.
So that
100%, that's
men
what we
can
do.
share them
That's
everywhere.
what we do. That's what one of our clips on the last one, we were talking about penis size and stuff.
Yeah.
That got like 4.4 million views.
You see?
And then we're talking
And
about...
it's probably all men.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Check this. I can relate to this.
And then we go and then we post the stuff serious, talking about studies, and studies have shown there's 5,000 views max. No one cares about that. But yeah, so you started about 5-6 years ago. You do it like on and off and not regularly. But before you give us advice, the other question I had for you was, you've been gymming for how long? Like how long you've been in the gym?
On and off
training.
since I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like weight
And then-
training,
and-
cardiovascular
and
stuff.
A lot of sport in high school. And then currently I do about 3 days of weights,
Okay.
but I do 5Ks every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day, whether it's a walk or a gentle run. Every single day I must do 5Ks. And
No
in the
matter what.
And no matter what. Or if I don't, the next day I'll try and add another.
Yo.
But also my attitude is, even if you can't do 5, do 2. It's better than doing nothing.
Yes.
So wait, when you were on O-Ship, were you doing 5Ks?
I was on the treadmill.
You lied.
I was on the treadmill on the boat.
Gee whiz.
And it's I'm a big scholar of the law of incremental gains is never wrong. Do a little bit of something every
day.
single day, and you will see the results.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Consistency, man. And with your journey through fitness and being in the gym, doing weights, surely along your journey, you probably came across people that were using steroids.
Dude, I've been offered gear before. I've tried gear before. I'm not gonna lie and say I've never tried gear. I've never used gear. You know what I mean? I'll be lying to you. I'll be lying to myself. But I also understood that I want to have kids. I want to have lots of kids.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at 5. I just want one more. Listen, if there's someone who with a womb for rent. Give me a call.
And it's interesting. It's interesting that you said that because a lot of people don't know that that's what gear can do to you. You can become infertile.
And that's been
big
my,
one.
and that was my biggest fear every time I went on a course of gear. That I hope that
I can still get
that I can still have children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna sit here and be all high and mighty and I've never tried gear. I have tried gear.
And what were the effects? Did you have side effects?
Geez, there was a cycle did about 12 years ago. And literally my wife had to hide every time she saw me.
What was you taking?
Dude, I can't remember what combo it was that they gave me.
Tren or something.
It was a combo of 2.
Yes.
And normally whatever they say you must do, I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart.
That's what smart people do.
With everything, I have it. But it was literally, if I see her in the corridor, it's showtime. But if something drops and she picks it up, it's showtime. So for me, that was the biggest side effect.
Yeah, okay.
Biggest side
But I've never had kidney issues. I've never had liver issues.
Positive.
Again, because I don't overdo anything that I do.
I'm telling
Okay.
you, Fresh went to med school. I'm telling you.
You went to the med school of life. Tell me, did you do any post-cycle therapy?
I can't remember what it was, but that was supposed to help. Was it with my estrogen levels? Yes. So I've done that.
cool.
So depending on what I was using, I had to
Of course.
go on the
You know what I
post.
like that it just told us this. I was reading an article a few years ago that stated that a man will rather admit that he's cheated on his wife than say that he's used steroids. That he's used.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's
And-
unfortunate,
And,
I mean.
and the reason I am willing to put myself out there and wear my life on my sleeve is I know it will save someone.
Yes.
It will save someone's life. It will help someone. And we need to stop living in the shadows and shamefully. You know what I mean? As long as you're not killing, hurting children and killing animals and breaking the law, you know, do what works for you, but within, obviously moderation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with going to your doctor and saying, I want to start a course of gear. Help me do it right.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
Rather that than you're in an alley taking a fucking horse steroid. Nay, my bro, nay.
I think everyone in the gym speaks about horse steroids. Doesn't anyone even know what the hell horse steroids are?
Because that's how it started. Before they started making stuff for human beings, you were literally taking the stuff that were meant to make horses
Yeah.
deliver.
Yeah. So Fresh, just on that one, actually that's one of the big reasons why we started this podcast. We're quite close.
Sure.
All of us. Spend a lot of time together, so we feel very free amongst each other. You know, we open up about the craziest of stuff. Sure. So
I shan't ask.
And we felt like because we all gym and we're all doctors, we get these questions a lot. There's so much about just men's sexual health that's not being addressed, that's being neglected, and we get asked these questions. And I mean, you just tell one person, and that's where it ends. And we feel like there's these little kids that are on everything, And I mean, the point of of these chats is not to say, hey, steroids are going to kill you or whatever. Well, they can kill you. They probably will if you don't know what you're doing. But
Enough water will kill you.
Exactly. But more than anything, it's the education. Just knowing there's people out there you can actually speak to. There's doctors that you can actually just open up to and say, listen, I've been trying X, Y, Z, and this is what I'm experiencing right now. What do you know? How can you help me? And yeah.
In fact, there was a nursing sister I used to go to, once a month for vitamin B shot. And she told me that, listen, if ever you want to try gear, rather talk to me and I'll help you do it properly. Then you're twisting yourself trying to give yourself a jab. Rather let me help you do it properly. So
I've had guys in the emergency come in with abscesses
on the bum.
Yeah. Abscesses. I've seen guys obviously with SVTs, like issues with their heart attacks, and in their 20s.
Yeah.
And we'd rather avoid that. I mean, primary healthcare, which is his field of expertise, teaches us that if you can stop the problem when it starts and manage it, it avoids a whole lot of complications that may end you up in ICU. So let's help you use it safely. for the right reasons at the right time, get you off it properly,
Sure.
then you're not going to end up in the ER with severe complications and die prematurely. That's my
Fresh
thinking
was
about.
talking about using injections, the abscesses.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're trying to get alternative delivery methods now
yeah.
that we're going to use at the Gents clinic. And Nassim brought us
Yeah, Nasim, tell us about
Tell us about
the
what-
troches that
what
we
you've
have.
got here.
Ooh, that's
so,
cool.
So the thing with testosterone is that like you have to inject it. You can't swallow it like because it's a hormone that will get digested in the, right. So if you think about it, like if I tell you get an injection now, you're gonna be thinking, oh man, I can't even take one. Now I must take one every week and every 2 weeks. Oh man, so much pain. Like, so this is like Troches, right? So if you open it like this,
So this is what we're going to be providing, right?
yeah. See, it looks like this, and these are like sublinguals basically. Put them under the tongue,
Under the tongue.
absorbing the blood vessels under the tongue. Let's see.
So it doesn't go to your stomach. It doesn't get
Yeah.
digested.
Straight into the
It goes
blood.
straight
more
into the
tolerable.
bloodstream underneath the
Are
tongue.
we gonna pop these now?
Yeah,
So
let's
these are glutathione.
Are you?
Okay.
This is just.
Also, these are not tests.
These are not tests.
I thought
Well,
it was
you're getting
tests,
excited,
man.
Fresh.
Precious, hey,
jump back on
just give me one of those. Give me one of those. I was about to mug a doctor.
No, but we'll have tests. We'll have
Here
tests
you go.
the next one.
Thanks, brother. Okay, so glutathione. What are the benefits of glutathione?
N-acetylcysteine.
It's like an antioxidant, right?
So basically, it's like milk thistle people take for their liver and stuff. It helps. Yeah, it's a detoxifier.
So you must try not to swallow.
Yeah, just put it under the tongue.
Let it dissolve.
Try to dissolve. I mean, they do cater for the swallowing because you will
Under the tongue.
swallow inevitably.
Can't talk now.
Inevitably you will swallow.
We didn't think about that.
Yeah. So I can't wait until we've optimized the delivery of these troches. Because like I was saying, when I'm in my 50s, gonna get in my car, go to work with an erection, and have a good day, function. Because you're on test.
Yeah.
Both an erection. Okay.
I mean, just the fact that I'm basically gonna be. Oh, you can't talk with this.
Exactly.
I'm
We
gonna
didn't
be
think
like.
about this.
I'm gonna be like Fresh. I wanna be fresh like Fresh. I think you need to what do you call it, patent or whatever that term, fresh like Fresh.
Done deal.
Fresh like
This thing needs to dissolve a bit
testosterone too.
faster.
Yeah. We're going to talk to him about just
Big.
dissolving
But
faster.
it is dissolving.
It takes its time, huh? I think it better be a long drive to work.
Do you think it's better than an injection so far?
Anything.
You
is
asking
better than
me?
injection.
No,
We're asking Fresh.
Anything is better than an injection.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, another question I wanted to ask you. So, yeah, you've been on a bit of TRT for the last couple of years or whatever. Have you had any problems with the erections ever? Any penile problems? Let's start with it. Any.
I think the times it was probably stress related. There was a lot of shit I was dealing with at a business level.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd like to think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because, because when the stress went away, then it was game time again.
When you're back in business.
But it's weird. Vodka also affects me.
Specifically vodka.
Specifically vodka. If I had vodka, it's almost like I know nothing's gonna happen tonight. And I realize
So any other alcohol, any other spirit is fine.
Normally they say that with whiskey.
Yeah, you get whiskey
I mean,
dick.
some grandfathers to say gin, Gordon's does that to them. I mean, I don't know. Alcohol in general.
I drink Gordon's, bro, and trust me, I'm an old buck man.
And then,
Sorry.
yeah.
Carry on.
No, it's okay.
No, because I wanted to ask specifically about alcohol. We talk a lot about, avoiding alcohol, smoking, etc. But you're in the entertainment industry. Every night you're out. Every night you got a gig. You've been doing this for 40 years. What's your rule? Do you drink every night? Do you not? Do you choose your... Like, how does it work?
I don't drink every night. I'd like to think I'm a social drinker. So there are nights where I'll decide that, okay, tonight we're drinking. Like night one on O ship, we drink. Like we drink
just
hard.
let it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
And I've been on O ship with Fresh,
But
and I can tell
generally,
you...
I'm not a heavy drinker. In fact, and I don't drink at all at home. So midweek,
No alcohol at home.
I've got a massive bar, like it's stocked with 15 years of alcohol. I've never had a single drop of alcohol at the house. So my kids have never seen me drink.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So
And you're in the entertainment industry.
exactly. So and I don't host much. For me, my home is my sanctuary. So you're gonna find me with like 20 other DJs hanging out drinking. I go home to get away from all of that noise. You know what I mean? But so I literally only drink on weekends or at an event. If I'm not at a gig, you will not see me drinking anything at all.
And that's just alcohol? Anything else? Smoking? Whatever? I'm not gonna ask you about drugs.
I don't smoke. I don't do drugs.
Ever smoked? Never ever smoked?
I've tried. I mean, I was at the Cannabis Expo the other day.
Oh, okay.
I was DJing at the Cannabis Expo, and they gave me like 4 goodie bags with edible. I mean, I've tried oil, because my mom is arthritic. So there's a doctor who organized oil for me and for my mom. So I used to use it just to get peaceful sleep. Literally just 2 drops under my tongue around 7 p.m. By 10, I'm out and I'm out cold. Problem with the oil was if I took it a bit too late, then you wake up still feeling a bit drowsy, a bit groggy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my dad, being a typical man, my mom gets the drops. And, she'd take a drop just to help her with manage her arthritic knee. And my dad saw these drops, and you know how men are.
Yeah.
He took like 4 or 5 drops. I get a call from my mom at 3 a.m. Your dad thinks he's dying. What's in these drops? He was high as a kite.
Man, it's so wild. That stuff's not to be played with.
So like I'm saying, so weed, I'm not a weed smoker. But if you pass me a joint, I'll probably have 1 drag because it does nothing to me.
Oh, wow.
Like it does nothing to me.
Wow.
Just like
nothing.
social to be part of the.
Because who doesn't want to smoke and cough a bit? And then drugs, not interested.
Okay.
Like not interested.
At all.
I mean, I've tried MDMA because we're in Spain. It was fun and it's cool. But I'm not going to do coke. I'm not going to do crystal meth. I'm not going to do.
Of course not.
All of that other shit.
But also, especially in your line of work, people that go into it with the idea. I think the difference between, or what I found with you, meeting you and me being in the entertainment world and meeting other DJs and people there, there are people that go into it because they enjoy the party. They enjoy the life of the party.
For me, it's work, dude. It's career.
And I think you get meaning out of what you are doing.
Absolutely.
You're creating something, you're creating experience like Oship or with a DJ set, you're creating something. And that for you, I think, is your purpose.
Absolutely.
And that keeps you away from the stuff that's going to take you away from
And that's another reason, for instance, drugs are not an option. Because then you're starting to fuck with your bag.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's what's put my kids through school. That's what's put a roof over my kids' heads.
Yeah.
So I'm very intentional about that. And I think also maybe I'm not cool.
Yeah.
No one offers me drugs, eh? I don't get offered drugs ever.
And you know what's surprising?
Has anybody come up to you and asked you if you have drugs?
In a club in Miami, because I later found out that often the drug dealer is the big black guy.
Yeah.
So I'm in a club. I'm in a club in Miami, and some American girl's like, "Do you have any party favors?"
What the hell?
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I asked the American dude I was with. It's like, "Oh, she thinks you're a dealer."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been asked for drugs before.
Okay.
Yeah.
The US.
I just want, maybe this is the last.
Yeah. So I've got 2 last questions, but whoever else wants to ask
I've got
first.
also just the last closing. So I think it's been very good having you here.
Thank you very much.
I'm very happy that we got to speak to you because I didn't know where this podcast is going to go, But your game showed us how knowledgeable you are, how well read you are. And my question basically is because you've opened my eyes so much to you as a person. Do you see yourself, or would you want to be seen as a role model when it comes to issues of manlyhood? Because with the Gentleman's Clinic, we deal with men and issues of men. And I mean, just everything you spoke about, really hit me at a personal level or soft spot, and something I resonate with you, So would you see yourself as a role model to South African men?
Honestly, I think there's a lot of pressure in putting people on pedestals or role modeling people. I think we're all flawed. Human beings generally are pathetic. But there's nothing wrong with finding pockets of excellence within people that you either want to emulate or that inspire you to live like that or to perform at that level or to be disciplined at that level. But, and I say that because we live in a world where we're quick to, you could find the cure for cancer. But the minute we find you, I don't know, snorting in an alley, you'll forever be known as the doctor was caught snorting in an alley. And you'll be cancelled. And unfortunately, human beings are not black or white. We're so nuanced as human beings that we almost want to treat people as black or white and nothing in between. And that's the problem. And I think social media has led us down that path where we're quick to throw people away.
Yeah.
But we're all flawed, every single one of us. So I'm the first one to always say, I will find that which is good in a person because we all have that in us. So, you know, as much as Hansi Cronje was cancelled, my attitude towards Hansi, even at the height of his scandal, was I will always tell my kid, if he ever plays rugby, that, not rugby, cricket, that was still a great cricket player.
Yeah.
So you could play like him, just don't fix matches like him.
Yes.
But I'm not going to throw him away or cancel him or treat him like he was this pariah that must now be, erased from the history books. So if there's anything about me that inspires you, I'm happy for you. But don't put me on a pedestal.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
Mhlahla, you had a question?
No, you kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
You kind of touched.
Yeah, just since you've mentioned obviously been on T for quite a few years. Obviously, with the age and stuff, and I think also with other gentlemen that maybe in the age group or that watch our podcast, I think it's something very important or also to be checked up. But have you experienced any prostate issues, or have you been essentially screened
I
for
do
any
those.
prostate?
I mean, my doctor insists on those. So I do like my annual, my bloods to check cancer markers and everything else.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only thing I struggle with, funny enough, despite how much cardio I do, is my cholesterol. My cholesterol levels, if I don't watch them, spike.
Okay.
But that can be hereditary.
And-
for a lot of people, it's
And
just
I've had that
hereditary.
problem for the last 15 years, where I'll do a battery of tests. It's the cholesterol that comes back saying,
It's high.
watch yourself, watch yourself, watch yourself.
And are you taking something? to control it?
It hasn't been that bad that I need to take something.
Okay.
But my doctor has just warned me that watch it, have your oats and take, watch what you eat basically.
No, he's a
Because we assume that because you're doing cardio or you're not fat, you're not going to have cholesterol.
Yes, of course.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest mistake we make. That because I can run 20 Ks a day, I can't have cholesterol.
Yeah. But what's your diet like?
Generally, I'm very disciplined. Like generally, I'm very.
Do you
very
follow like a specific plan, or calories, or banting, or what type of diet do you follow?
So 1 week a month, I will fast.
What type of fast?
And
Water
it varies. So, for instance, I did the water fast for 4 days 2 weeks ago. All I had was water
4 days.
for 4 days. So I had
Work, carrying on, everything.
no. So the first day I had water with electrolytes. The second day I had brine? So basically boiled bones.
Oh, bone broth.
Broth, not brine, man. Broth. Oh, brine is what they put in the chicken. Yes. Yeah, so I had broth the whole day. The next day I went back to water, electrolytes. And I wasn't hungry. Like nothing. But what I found is the fasts I do, and actually understand, for instance, why people fast. Why Muslims will go on a fast. Because I find if you can control your urge for food, which your body needs to survive, you can pretty much control any other urge.
Yeah.
You can actually take your mind where you want to take your mind. If you can,
Mental clarity.
if you can say to your body, "We are fine, dude. We're not eating today. We're not eating tomorrow." So it depends on what I feel like that week.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll have one meal. I'll eat at 8 p.m. and then I'm done for the day. And then there are days where I'll only eat after midday. I'll only eat after 3 p.m. But I'm finding fasting gives me like the clarity you talk about. There are people who say it opens your third eye. And I'm almost believing that I have the most clarity when I've eaten the least.
Adam and Eve were tempted with food. Jesus was tempted with food. Think about the importance of self-control with food and how you can control. I don't want to start a new podcast, but there's so much benefit in what he's explaining in fasting.
That Adam and Eve was not about food.
I've heard that one, yeah.
Okay, last two questions I have for you, Fresh,
Yes,
because
sir.
we touched upon it. The first thing you mentioned when we started talking about TRT is libido,
Yeah.
and how your libido has never dropped. I recall watching the roast of Somizi,
Jeez.
and Skumba made a joke about you. He looked you in the eye. I'm not going to do Skumba's accent because I might get cancelled.
And the
I
motion.
was going to say, I thought we were racist.
Yeah. So he said that you claimed, I don't know where and at what point you claimed.
I did an interview and I said, generally in your relationship, you must try to have sex once a day, at least.
day, yeah.
Every
Once
day.
a day. So is that something that you follow?
More,
As much as you possibly can.
more often than not, yes. I think it's important for your relationship.
Okay.
I think it's very important for your relationship. And I don't think your fights should get in the way of your intimacy.
Wow. So you're like, it's fine. We'll put this fight on pause.
No.
Pause for now. Pause. Come.
Dude, have you tried I'm mad at you sex?
Actually.
I reserve the right to answer.
No, but I think it's important, even just in your relationship,
Yeah.
that there should be certain things that you keep in place. So even if you're fighting, fight with love.
Yeah.
If you learn to fight with love, then your fights would not get in the way of the love making either. Because everything comes from a place of love.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But if it becomes angry, if it becomes personal, then it starts affecting other things too. You know what I mean? And it's not an easy thing to. I'm not preaching something that I think is easy. You know,
No,
it's
it's not,
difficult not to want to get personal when you fight,
You know what?
especially when you know so much about the person.
Intimately.
I had to learn that at work, while specializing. So
Yes.
during my specialization, you learn how to deal with patient encounters,
Yes.
aggressive patient. And you learn that when if the disease is the problem,
Yeah.
you fight the disease. You say, okay, let's not fight each other. These results are the problem. Let's fight the results. And then I was
Yes.
like, wait a minute, man. I need to take this home, I need to understand at home that me
Absolutely.
and you are not fighting. We're fighting the issue that's at hand.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. And so we
And-
can still
and-
have sex through this issue.
But in real life, it's difficult. It's
No, and if you can learn to not only fight, but get over the fight.
Yes.
Because sometimes you're not speaking for 3 days. By day 4, you're like, why aren't we speaking to
You
each
don't
other?
even know
You,
anymore.
you know what I mean? So I think it's important to be disciplined about that also. Because we waste so much time, whether it's in our relationships, our work relationships, our marriages, we waste so much time just sometimes bickering over bullshit or being angry over bullshit.
100%.
And life is short, guys. You know that. I'm sure you know life is
how it changes.
and we waste a lot of it just on small little fights.
Relationship advice? Best relationship advice. If you could give men 3 tips on how to maintain, sustain, and have a amazing relationship for the rest of your life, what would you say?
One is it won't be amazing for the rest of your life.
Of course. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, that is it.
2, I think honest comms are so important.
Honest.
Like honest, but not. I'm trying to tear you down. But you need to be honest with one another. I'm not saying tell her she's fat if you feel she's fat, or tell him he's small if you feel he's small. But I think it's important to have honest conversations in your relationship.
100%.
Sometimes we hang on to a relationship that's dead. We're not even willing to admit that this thing is dead. Like
Be
the
honest, that is-
CPR failed, like nothing. The defibrillator failed, like nothing.
Hey, Dr. Fresh, putting bars in.
So sometimes we need to be willing to communicate that we've tried and we failed. It's okay to fail. You know what I mean? I remember when we announced that, well, we didn't announce it, leaked that myself and my wife were getting divorced. And we were separated for 3 years, but we're living under the same roof because we understood that for the kids, we can't just rip the carpet under their feet and one of us move out or I move out. But also, we also admitted that your kids deserve 2 happy parents. And the happiness of both your parents sometimes lies in them being apart. You know what I mean? Because kids pick up when there's
business.
kids.
100%.
They're the first ones to pick it up.
100%.
So now, do we want to stay in an unhappy marriage for the kids, or do they deserve both of us to be happy but apart?
Wow.
What's going to raise healthier children? Parents who are apart but are both thriving, or parents who are together but every day is a fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and that's exactly what we said to the kids. That it's not, we're not saying we don't love each other anymore. You know, yes, the relationship is fucked out, but we both want to be happy, and we're not happy in this marriage. You know what I mean? So I think the kids understood it at that level, and the fact that we stayed together I literally just moved out 6 months ago.
Wow.
Literally only moved out. We separated 4 years ago. The divorce was only finalized about a year and a half ago. But we living under the same roof.
And you feel that transition.
I was there in the cottage, but it doesn't matter.
That transition of you sort of what's the word? Sensitizing
Sure.
your kids that you know dad's gonna move out
Sure.
at a specific time, or I don't know how you done it, but in that manner, you think it was, you know, right now they still happy. And
The only reason I regret taking as long as I did to move out is since moving out, I'm actually enjoying the kids more because they come over and I cook for them and we hang out, we take walks together. Whereas when there's two parents, you almost deputize the one because you're busy. But now you're forced not to be busy, to spend proper time with them. You know what I mean? So evenings I take walks with my daughter, she's 15. And I think we've spent the best 6 months of our lives better than the last 14 and a half years that she's been my daughter. Because now we get to spend proper quality time.
Dedicated.
Like this morning we woke up, we made breakfast together. Her little brother and his friend were playing video games. 6 in the morning, I hate school after this. We made breakfast together, we sat and we had breakfast. You know what I mean? So the reason I'm saying this is because often we treat divorce as doom, gloom, animosity. I hate you, we're going to fight, we're going to hate each other. You have to do what's in the best interest of the kids. Like, by any means necessary, do what's in the best interest of the kids. Even if I hated my ex-wife, if she's unemployed and there's an opportunity for her to get a job, I will tell her there's a job opportunity there.
yeah,
Because if half of the parenting unit is dysfunctional, your kids will become dysfunctional.
100%.
So it's in everyone's interest that both parents are thriving.
and often
No,
irreversibly.
no
so.
matter how much you hate each other, you both need to thrive so that these little people can thrive.
Yeah.
That's the advice I can give
Really
you.
important.
Wow, I think you summed up not just being a good partner, but a good husband,
And a good
good
divorcee.
father, good divorcee. I feel like you're putting out an advert here.
You need any help?
So finally, the last thing, and I know we've gone way over time, but this has been
by
an
only 30
extreme.
minutes.
Yeah, this has been an extremely interesting conversation, and eye-opening, and I mean, just insightful all around. The final question I have, I'm in the entertainment industry, and I'm a baby in comparison to you. You've been doing this now for over 30 years.
Yeah.
In the entertainment industry, longevity is something that almost no one gets. They have a career, a thriving career, a few years, max 10 years, and then they're out. They've either blown all their money, they're either into drugs, they've lost homes, they've lost... You are someone that I see as, I know he mentioned role model, but you've managed to make a full-on career out of your passion. You are in a good place from what we've gathered, mentally, physically, spiritually. Tell us we don't have to number it. You can tell us how many tenets you have that you follow in order to achieve the success. But what has actually given you this longevity in your career, in your life, in your relationships, just to sum it all up?
I think first things first, I love it so much not to disrespect it, what I do. And what does disrespecting it look like? Disrespecting it looks like showing up but not showing up. If I'm booked for a gig, I will show up and I will show up.
Crazy. He was telling me a story on when we did the podcast. How
Yeah.
you at the Rugby World Cup final, he had a gig watching it in the DJ booth. You were watching. You were like, I'm not saying no to this gig. I'm going to do the gig, but I'm
But
going
I
to
want to
watch
watch
the
the
game.
rugby.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to always show up. A lot of us show up, but we're not really there. And people can pick it up. That I feel disrespected. That I've paid top rand for this entertainer, but they are not they're not bringing it. So I think it's important to show up like at all times. I think it's important to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
If you want me to come entertain for an hour, chances I'll do 2 hours if I don't have to go somewhere. But going above and beyond is also realizing that you are just one cog in a bigger wheel of that event, which means how you treat the cleaning lady adds to the aesthetic of the entire thing. So, for instance, what I do, and I'm very intentional about it, when I get to a venue, I greet the security. I greet the guards. If I'm walking past the bar, I fist bump the bar staff. I make everyone feel seen. A lot of my repeat gigs are because the staff said, we want him back because he sees us. A lot of us are very aloof because we think I'm the important one here. We won't even greet the security dude. But you expect him to tell you, oh, they're trying to steal your car when they're trying to steal your car. You know what I mean? And thirdly, humility is everything, guys. Your humility will open doors your talent might never touch.
Yeah.
Just your humility, how you treat people, how you make people feel, will open doors your talent can't even touch. And I could go on, dude. Be impactful. How many of us operate at a mediocre level and we're happy with it? We're not trying to hit the ball out the park.
Yeah.
You just show up because I was here, I clocked in. But what impact did you have?
100%.
You know what I mean? How memorable were you?
Yeah.
And I often tell the story. I mean, I haven't been on radio for 4 years now, but I've won 2 radio awards over the last 3 years. and that's
Soonery.
exactly. And these were awards. I mean, it was the Sunday Times Gen Next Awards, voted the coolest radio presenter by the youth of the country. And you don't get voted for awards in an industry you haven't been in 2-3 years by mistake. It's because you've had that impact on those people that are voting. That's why they don't forget you. How memorable are you? How impactful are you? Again, like I said, a lot of us show up for work, but we don't show up. You know what I mean? You're there doing a prostate exam and you're looking.
Fingers in his nostrils.
You know what I mean? In fact, and half your fingers not even in. So I think if you can apply any of that to whatever career you're in, trust me, dude. Trust me. And I think the last thing that I feel has helped me is, I later found that it's called the theory of one more. That often we give up too soon. But people who are one mores will always go to gym and do 1 extra rep. On a day I'm feeling like all is lost, you understand that tomorrow is another day. Just one more day and things might change. You know what I mean? On the day that you don't feel like going to gym to do 5Ks, you will still do 4Ks, or you'll do 2Ks, or you'll do 1K. All of that adds up. All of it adds up. And the minute you turn that into some sort of muscle memory, then it becomes a lifestyle. And no one can stop you. No one can stop you.
I see Fresh playing some Morgan Freeman roles in South African movies in 20 years' time. I'm telling you. No, but jokes aside, thanks for that, man. It's really impactful.
Sure.
And this, for men, once again, like you're saying, we give half in everything we do. And then we claim we're the best in bed. But, the evidence is out there. That we don't give the best in everything that we want to do.
And I think, just in closing, I think the big take-home message from what you've said, we obviously discuss a lot of things on manlyhood and, testosterone and TRT. And one of the things that we discussed on the previous podcast was how, in order for a man to really achieve happiness in life, dopamine, you have to go through struggle. Any human has to go through struggle, and then they get that dopamine when they achieve after beating that struggle. And I think for a lot of people, not just men, they go through life just saying, I'll just show up. I don't really need to give my full effort. But in actual fact, being human and being happy is all about going through some deep struggle, deep challenge, and coming out on top. And I think with the advice that you've given us, we're all going to be showing up. And I hope all the viewers and listeners to this podcast take that message home. You got to go through something. You got to be something, be impactful. But most importantly, make sure you show up.
All the time.
And Dr. Fresh, you've shown up today for our podcast, and we really appreciate you being here. Thank you all for staying this long and watching another episode of the Gents Clinic podcast. My name is Dr. Sohail Essa, and I'm going to let the others sign themselves out.
Dr. Brendan Matthews signing out.
Dr. Naseem Sharif.
Dr. Ntlanhla Vilagazi.
Dr. Vishen Naidu.
Doctor in the making, big dog.
We'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.